Hi, this is Coach Brady with Brady Performance. We make football players better. We're going to do a voiceover on TJ Dobson. He's a 2032 quarterback out of San Diego, California. Let's dive into it. One. All right, we're doing 3 rotations drill here, working on mobility in his upper spine area, his thoracic spine area, trying to keep our head still. I don't want his head moving on this. I want his face and his chin pinned right on the target, his eyes right on the target, his chin pointed right at the target. Controlling our head is going to help us become a more accurate passer. It's going to help us create consistency. If we move off of our spot and we control where our head is pointing, we're going to be able to have more success more often than not. Want to get good acceleration as we rotate through. One of the things we talked about in this workout is being tight with the left side. So we had him hold his shirt there, really focus on closing the shoulder here when we make contact with this front foot. Okay, this front foot is our balance foot. This back foot is our power foot. So we're trying to get this front foot down fast, all right, so we can get closed here on the front side or on the upper half of our body so that we can then push off of this back foot and create power to the throw. Want to keep, again, our head still. We want to keep our chin pinned on the target. I like the way he's loading the football here. Good turn in the wrist. I like how smooth the ball comes through. Okay, when we're trying to make sure our hip rotates through before the arm, it's not bad there. It doesn't over-rotate with the lower half. A lot of good checkpoints there. We're working on creating power when we're moving off of our spot, throwing around somebody, essentially throwing sidearm, again, going to 3 rotations. Now we're starting to get some movement in our feet, some activation in our feet. We want our arm to be quick and whippy. Okay, so we want to have a good equal and opposite relationship with this upper half. We want our right arm and our left arm essentially to copy one another. Okay, so in a perfect world, to have this arm more up, and then as he starts to bring this arm forward, he's going to swivel this arm back to the midline of the body. Use the analogy of having a sandwich that we're going to take a bite of, or a hamburger we're going to take a bite of. So that front shoulder remains as close as possible so we create power. All right, we're just working on looking off there. Doing some basic everyday type drills. We want to try to segment the drop mechanics, be able to create consistency as we're dropping back, looking off, and throwing. And so when we look off, again, we want to make sure that there's intent and there's purpose. If it's a spot dropping defense, defenders are looking at the quarterback with zone vision. They're getting to the top point of their underneath coverage responsibility. Or if it's a corner that has a curl flat, they're keeping their eyes pinned on through the number 2 receiver to the quarterback to see the intent. And a lot of moving parts there for the defenders. So as a quarterback, you want to try to bait them to push to a particular route. And then we're going to be able to then replace them elsewhere. That's what we're working on there. One of the things that we try to emphasize when we use a line as a reference point is we want to try to drop straight back and not step in the bucket. So take a look at his first step, his open reach phase, kind of stepping in the bucket there. We want to stay nice and tight to that. Gets to the right spot there at the top. And then when we are working on climbing up or hitching up in the pocket, we want to make sure that our feet stay wide. We want to pretend like we have a board right in between our feet, and we maintain that good base. Always maintain a good, strong, powerful position. And when we have these targets flashing hands, we want to try to hit them right in the hands where they flash. Looking off, reset, throw. All right, get a little more violent with that back foot. Turn the ankle a little bit more. Don't need to have it rotate out too far, but we just want to be quicker with that lower half. Simulate a gun drop if we're taking a gun drop. So if we are taking a gun drop, flip the ball up to yourself. If we're under center, sink those hips a little bit lower. And we want to be able to simulate like we're taking a snap from under center. Again, another reason why I like using that line, I want to see how much he moves. He's not moving too much, not wasting too much motion. So there's a lot of good here. All right. And then when we're doing these type of movements with no back, we want to make sure we still have good ball mechanics here, that the tip of the ball is flat, that our eyes are looking at the defender that we're putting in conflict. That's the goal with this situation. We're trying to make sure we're keying a defender. And if that defender starts fitting the run, then we're going to essentially replace out there, put that player in conflict if they have a run fit responsibility from the alley, okay, or outside the defense, outside the box, I mean. It's all about fast. Okay, now we're saying that the back is on this side and is going to enter the line of scrimmage there. Eyes need to be locked on the conflict player, the person we're going to put in conflict. We want to get that football in our hands fast. We want to hold the middle of the football, control it. And if we're going to keep it, tip of the ball up with power so that we're letting the back know not to clamp down on the ball. Good backs, good running back coaches, good quarterback coaches, good run game coaches are going to make sure that quarterbacks and running backs have very clean mechanics as it relates to the handoffs. We don't want any mistakes, any unforced errors, meaning we don't want to put the ball on the ground because of poor mechanics. We don't want to be beating ourselves. So we want to make sure that everything that we do is going to speak to great fundamentals. It's going to be speaking to great timing with our feet, with the timing of the play, and so that we're executing at a high level as best we can. We don't want to be shooting ourselves in the foot by having terrible mechanics. Okay, that's a coaching thing, and that's a player thing. Once you've been coached on it, own it, and make sure that you have pride in those fundamentals. Just throwing a relief there on the perimeter, and everybody and their mother is running those types of plays these days. We want those defenders to have to try to tackle in space. We want them to determine whether they're going to be playing the pass or the run, right? That's why we're running these types of plays. And then we're going to have vertical elements off of this. Again, tip of the ball flat, good ball mechanics, flip your hips, get it out fast. It's all about getting it out fast. Okay, little bit, not bad. I was going to say a little bit of a lunge there, but I think that there's some good stuff here. We're not overstriding. I think we could always work on getting that front foot down as fast as possible. I think the elbow's at a good height here at the release, but even with the shoulder joint, we want to try to keep, if anything, we want our body not to be dipping forward. We want our weight to be slightly back. So, when we look at this spine angle, the chin and spine angle here, I prefer that the quarterback is more in this position, these types of throws, more like at 80, 90 degrees, really, when we look at it. We're just about there, 89 degrees. But there's a little bit of a tilt forward. And so we want to try to be able to keep our head still. We want to try to keep our body from leaning forward, and we'll want to be able to rotate around our spine there. I'm going to let this kind of play through to be able to get through the rest of this video. And when we go through these mechanics of RPOs, we talk about hard and easy. If it's harder for the quarterback to get their feet in position, we call it hard. If it's easier for the quarterback to get his feet in position, then we call it easy. That was a hard one because he had to then flip his hips after he's reading. This one's easy because his hips are already open. So when we talk about that, that's what we're referring to. This one, we had a bad snap. It happens in games all the time. There's bad snaps. So we just kind of practice having the ball down on the ground. And then we had TJ's dad clap when he wanted him to collect the ball because I was filming and I couldn't clap and film at the same time. So we were telling him with the clap, pick up the football, get it out of your hand fast in the event that there's a bad snap. And again, with this, we're not trying to teach bad habits. If you don't have the throw after the ball's hit the ground on a bad snap, if you don't have that throw, that window's gone, the window's gone. Don't try to force anything. This is just a scenario if hey, if we're able to pick it up fast enough and we have a receiver that is in a window, in an open window, then throw it. If not, live to play another down. Okay, on this one, he had his eyes opposite of where we actually wanted them. We did 2-minute drill there. On that one, he looked off away to the opposite side. I wanted him to more so make sure that the safety was leaning away from the post, but we're not looking at the other sideline. That was a really good ball on that deep ball there to finish out the workout. One of the things about TJ is he is very calm, very relaxed type guy. Doesn't get really worked up, which I love. I love that. But also want him to have a little, be able to kind of see his personality come out as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing that continue to grow as far as his demeanor, as far as how he's going to relate to others. Now, I've never been in an actual team setting with him. I've watched him play up close, and I felt like, hey, he was calm, cool, collected type kid. Doesn't seem like it's too big of a moment for him when he's competing, which is a great thing. I'll just say generally, when you look at the body type like TJ, he's still growing. He's gonna hit a growth spurt, and his body's gonna change over time. I would say try to do the best you can to make sure that you're tracking how many calories you're bringing into your body, what type of foods you're eating. As an athlete, again, when you're this age, 12 years old, and you're continuing to grow, you're going to hit your growth spurt. Right now, we can do a lot of ab work. We could do a lot of work where we're doing lunges. We're doing strengthening stuff in our core. We can do med ball work at this point, but we want to make sure we're moving well and that the diet's also, lined up with going towards being the best possible athlete that you can. As a QB, you want to be able to have great stamina as you're going through the course of a ball game. So don't know what TJ's stamina level is during a ball game, but we want to make sure that we're able to handle 2-minute drill situations. We're able to handle sprinting, for a first down, being able to handle running over to the sideline and maybe get information from a coach and then be able to compose yourself. And so, this is a holistic thing. And so, I want to just make sure I make mention of that. TJ is a smooth athlete. He throws the ball well. He needs to continue to work on foot quickness and just being an overall athlete in general. Always enjoy working with him, and I look forward to continuing to work with him. Thank you.